much, John Harwood. It certainly was entertaining. And another big moment from that debate, Donald Trump and Carly Fiorina going at it over their business records, including what became a fight over CNBC contributor and Yale University's Jeff Sonnenfeld. Have a listen.
I led Hewlett-Packard through a very difficult time, the worst technology recession in 25 years. The NASDAQ stock index fell 80%. As for the firing, I have been very honest about this from the day it happened. When you challenge the status quo, you make enemies. I made a few. Steve Jobs told me that when he called me the day I was fired to say, hey, been there, done that twice.
The head of the Yale Business School, Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, wrote a paper recently, one of the worst tenures for a CEO that he has ever seen, ranked one of the top 20 in the history of business. The company is a disaster and continues to be a disaster. They still haven't recovered.
Jeffrey Sonnenfeld is a well-known Clintonite and honestly had it out for me from the moment that I arrived at Hewlett-Packard.
Wow. Jeffrey Sonnenfeld with the Yale University School of Management is with us. Jeff, they both got it wrong. You weren't a Clintonite, nor are you the head of the business school, right?
No, I think my boss and I were equally alarmed by that. Last week, on the weekend, on CBS Face the Nation, Mr. Trump referred to me as the head of the law school. If we could come up with the medical school, my mom would have been really pleased. We haven't hit that one yet, but no. And I think Paul Bacala and Jim Carvell and Mark Penn and I think the rest of the actual Clintonites will be very amused, and I don't know where to send my invoices, but no, I've not been a Clinton advisor. But it is very interesting that this whole, I think John's summary was superb. You see some people who really did get their voice back. I think Chris Christie absolutely got his voice back, and he stole what Trump wanted, which is to be the voice of the oppressed middle class. Trump has a very good tax package to address that issue. He hardly got to it on substance, being distracted by style issues, whereas Christie managed to be that voice of the person, the common person. And of course, the Latino issue, that didn't work too well, and the Spanish issue. But Carly Fiorina, what she does so artfully is to divert. I mean, we have other guests on CNBC that I won't name that when I wind up in tussles with them, they always go for the personal invective. They always go for somehow to come back at me for some misguided, malicious, false distraction instead of, shoot the messenger instead of deal with the issues. She did slice shareholder wealth more than in half, 55%. And, the S&P was only down 7% then. She says, well, technology was off. Apple was up threefold then. Dell was soaring. Google and Facebook were launched then. Xerox turned around and was up 75%. No, is that HP was in great shape when she got there, and she left it in tatters. Virtually everything she bought has either been shuttered or Meg Whitman has now divested it. And
so Jeff, so you're sticking to your original claim, and that is the one that Donald Trump invoked. But just for the record, and back to the question of the debate, which actually prompted this whole discussion about you and about their records, who do you think would be a more effective job creator for this country based on your study of corporate management?
I think taking a look at some people who solve problems. I'm not here endorsing anybody. Somebody who gets outshouted in these debates, of course, John Kasich is a very impressive, sensible guy that some people complain, some very prominent Republican strategists complain that he's the pencil-pushing nerd, that he's not in there throwing the names around, and I think that's a shame. But he has some opportunity there. Trump, when he talks about his business record, instead of being ashamed of his setbacks, he should make that a badge of courage and enthusiasm that he has come back.
Let me pick that up. Let me pick that up, Jeff, because I mean, the reason that they're talking about it is because you are calling out names of people that you think were really, really bad at their job. And I'm not sure how constructive that is unless we're able to learn lessons from it, unless that's what your students are in it for, that we learn the lessons. And let's say Carly Fiorina... Hang on. And Carly Fiorina learns her own lessons, and I'm just interested, on a more positive note, what the lessons are that we learn from this.
Simon, that's absolutely right. I'm a big believer in second chances. I'm a big believer that people, if you're not some mass murderer, you should either through exoneration and prove that in fact you didn't do anything wrong, or forth by contrition, that you're apologetic for it. She straddles, like many celebrities do. She doesn't make a choice between them. She basically says she does nothing wrong, but in fact the performance was terrible. What did she learn? She's never gotten a CEO job 10 years since. What does that tell you? She was on the board of Taiwan Semiconductor. They threw her off. She only showed up for 17% of the meetings.
I'm anxious to find.
What did she learn?
I'm anxious to find some positivity here. Let me ask you again. What do we learn from her experience at HP?
We learned that she's not yet learned from her setbacks. A lot of people do learn from failures and setbacks. They learn, and that's what Steve Jobs learned. He was a different leader when he came back in. She uses his example. There are many people. Bernie Marcus, the guy who built the Home Depot, was fired and started again. He was a different person as he builds. People learn a lot as they've had adversity. You take a look at Martha Stewart or Howard Schultz coming back in to save Starbucks. What Michael Dell's done to revive Dell is, the comeback stories are very much the American dream. But her comeback can't be from failure to the American presidency as the commander-in-chief of the free world when she's never proven herself. She should get another chance. I don't know why in 10 years no board director anywhere, directors anywhere in the world has given her that chance. Trump, he's come back from setbacks.
Jeffrey, it's David. Let me ask one final question here. Sorkin asked me it the other day. I'll put it to you. Hewlett-Packard announces another 30,000 job cuts. These taking place at HPE. The company's going to split in about 6 weeks from now. Are any of those job cuts the fault of Carly Fiorina?
They lost their footing. When Carly Fiorina talks about the patents they have, these were obsolete warehouse devices, dusty old heavy metal, that was not her strategic direction. She came up with it last minute to buy Compaq, and Compaq had all this old digital equipment stuff and things. It was obsolete. So what did they get rid of? They're getting rid of the devices business that they doubled down into. IBM, coincidentally, she wanted to become more like IBM, wanted to buy PricewaterhouseCoopers Consulting for $14 billion, and she couldn't. Who bought it? IBM for $4 billion just a few months later. So she spun around and bought Compaq, and that's what they're getting rid of. They've shuttered a lot of that, and it's stuff that it took them in the wrong direction.
We've got to leave it there. Thanks for weighing in, of course, on the debate and on the record, the business record, importantly, for Donald Trump and Carly Fiorina. Jeff Sonnenfeld from Yale University.